This looks amazing. This came out absolutely beautiful. This is amazing. This is beautiful. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Custom Shop. My name is Louis Tuminaro, the Gunfather, and today we have an exciting video for you. We have right here a 2026 Colt Python. It is a stainless gun, 357 Magnum. We are going to take this revolver, disassemble it, and we're going to do a full polish on it and do a reassembly. So the first thing we're going to want to do when this gun comes in, I know that this gun just came from Colt. We're just going to check and we're going to run through the timing to make sure that there's no issues so that when we put it back together, we know that it was functioning properly. Second of all, it's got a cylinder ring in here, so we know that this is safe. All right. So we'll take that out. And we're going to run through the timing real quick. And again, what we're doing is we're making sure that the cylinder bolt locks, okay, into the notch. Okay, gun time's proper. Let's get started. Okay, so the reason why this gun is here, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of history on what's happening here. If you look over here, it's a little bit brighter than it is here. So what happened was this particular customer got this gun and he happened to put a scratch in it. So what he tried to do is to take the scratch out, not realizing that the new Colt Pythons have like a hardened surface on them now. They're not raw like they used to be, just regular raw stainless. This is a great finish that they put on. But the problem is that if you do scratch this revolver, there is no way for you to repair it without having to take all this finish off and polish it. So the reason why it's here is that customer realized that we are going to completely polish this revolver, put it all back together, and this way here now, if he puts a scratch on it, now he can just take a little hand polish or something like that and take it off. All right, so one thing in noticing here is that this is a 2026 Python. It's a lot different than the earlier Pythons. The serial number on this is 265,565. Well, when the 2020 Python first came out, I happened to get one right away. And I just wanted to show you guys this. Gun's clear. This is my particular brand new Python, and it's serial number 2118. So how cool is that, right? So 6 years later, and look at all the guns that they made. Now, I've worked on plenty of these before, and I've done plenty of the polishings on here and upgrading them. Now, I can't stress how using the proper screwdrivers are very, very important, because you don't want to strip, you don't want to, booger up the heads of the screws. So when we are doing the high polish on this, everything gets polished. So we're going to wind this down in a shorter video, but for us to do this gun properly, all right, we're going to spend approximately 8 hours between what I'm doing now to polishing every single part. We're talking micro polishing, and then putting the whole gun back together. So right now we want to take this little spring out on the cylinder bolt. There we go. Now if you look at the new cylinder bolt, way, way, way different than the earlier models. This is more like a Smith & Wesson style cylinder bolt. Okay, now we'll take the rear sight off. And there we go. Colt used to have 2 pins or 1 pin on the later Pythons, but now they changed that. And we're going to take this Allen wrench. There we go. Just leave that right in there. So what's going to, I guess, separate us from a lot of people that are going to polish this gun? If we did not take out the hammer pin and the trigger pin, when we went to go polish this and sand this, how are we supposed to do so without damaging the pins? So what we're going to do is we have a press, and we're going to press these out. I've had guns come in before where I had to put new pins in because somebody went to go polish these, and these pins were dead flat with the frame. So let's walk over to the press, and let's press these out. All right, so when we first started working on the Colt Pythons back here 25 years ago, I know that I needed to take out these pins. So I created this press. All right, I got this press from Brownells, but it wasn't used for this. It was for other things. I modified this to work so that we can now take the pins out in a pretty easy way. Now the brass will not damage the pin, okay, as it's a lot softer than the stainless. See that? We got our little girl Marilyn. That's our shop dog, a little border collie. Now normally when we go to press this down, you may hear a little pop. It's pretty cool. No pop, but successful. Now if you look at this pin, there's no damage done to it at all. None. Okay, but we're going to polish this also. So since these brass punches were, the other one was perfect size for the larger one, I had to make these smaller. All right, so this is going to be the one which is going to handle the most pressure, and then this one over here I can hopefully get all the way through to push the pin out. I might have to grind these a couple of times. That's why when you look at all these are all kind of all been, you know, grinded a million times, you know, for as many pythons as we take apart. You want to be really careful and get that centered on here. And now you can understand why a lot of people don't take these out when they go to polish them, because it's not as easy as you think. See, that just slid right off. There we go. There we go. We'll just come over here, and I will just finish this the rest of the way. There we go. Okay, and now for the last one, the hardest one, the smallest one. This is always the hardest one because it's the smallest. Okay, let's try this. Let's hope it doesn't slide off again. Nope, you can see how it's starting to slide. We do not want that. And if you look at this tip's actually bent. So when this happens, I'm going to do something a little differently. Okay, I'm going to take this tip right here. If you look, very ever so slightly it's curved. So since this has a little bit of a raise, I'm going to go dead center, and I'm going to push it down just to break it, okay, right from here. Okay, so right now, when you're looking at this, okay, you can see how I have a dome on this brass punch, and that's to push that downwards without touching the rest of the frame. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this downwards right now just to break that pin because it's so hard right now. So let's just go. Okay, let's see if it broke. And when I do go to feel it, okay, this is down a little bit further, okay, than it was. So it did break a little bit. You can see where the pin hit the dead center of the punch. So we were right on the money. Oh, I think we got it. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, so it took 5 times, but we got it, and that's the most important part, and we did no damage to the frame whatsoever. There we go. And we got that pin out. Now this is just something that you just can't do with a hammer and a punch. These pins are way too tight. All right, but now we are able to flatly sand this, okay? And get this nice and flat when we go to polish it. All right, let's go back to the back. Okay, so now that I just disassembled this gun is 100% other than taking the barrel off, which we don't have to do. All right, we are ready now to go and to put this to the wheel to see which areas we can get by with just polishing, and then what areas we can get by with having to do some fine sanding. Let's go to the polishing room and let's go see what's what. Okay, so we're in the polishing room now. We have Baldor buffers. They're amazing. I've had these for so many years. Every time the bearings go on them and so on, we just change them. But these are super powerful machines. We have all different compounds if you take a look. And we get them all from Brownells. You know, we have black, which is the coarsest. We have gray and we have white. So I'm just going to get a feel for this right now. And this is our white. And let's just fire it up. And let's see where we're at with some of this finish. So right now you're looking at it, it's kind of gray. Here's where the customer did a little polishing to this. So if you can see it, it's a little bit brighter. Let's take a look and see where we're at. All right, here, this is great for you guys to see this. Now you can really see the finish that Colt puts on, because as you can see, the stainless is below that finish, and you can see how shiny it is. But you can see that I put this up on the wheel and that it doesn't come off that easy. So we're gonna have to work at this, and that's why this gun takes a while to polish. Okay, this is why a lot of people like to have their Pythons polished, because look at this. Look at it, it's like a mirror. Absolutely beautiful. This finish that Colt puts on is very, very durable, but if it does scratch, there is no way to fix it. Now we're just going to take you through the motions. We are going to just start polishing this. We are going to be papering parts of this gun with some paper to get this hard finish off. You know, just hang out and enjoy the ride and watch the magic happen. Okay, so right now this revolver is 100% broken down. And if you guys notice, just like on the older Pythons, there is a glass bead finish over the top of this. On the older Pythons, we'll re-glass bead this. Since this has a nice glossy finish on it, we'll try to maintain it and we'll try to keep it, but if not, we will end up glass beading this. The hardest parts of the gun to do, which Daniel is gonna do, are the flats, which is this side of the frame, this right here, this side of the frame, and the side plate. So Daniel's gonna end up probably starting with the high grit, you know, like whether or not it's an 800 or 1000. This finish is so durable. We don't wanna make this wavy, all right, when we're doing the flats. These flats are the hardest to do. Daniel's gonna work on those. And I'm going to meet him in between. I'll work on the cylinder. I will try to polish this out. So Daniel, if you want, I'll give you these two to take back. Let me know what paper you're starting with, because you know we don't want to go too coarse, because then we make all work for ourselves, and we don't want to start too fine, because then we can't get it off. But if you can let me know while I'm starting to polish these, I'd appreciate it. Sure. Daniel took the side plate. And Daniel took the complete revolver. He's starting on those. And that leaves us with right here. Okay, cylinder release, your cylinder, your hammer, your trigger. We're even gonna polish your ejector rod. We're gonna actually polish the ends of the pins, and we'll do the crane. All right, let's take this in. Let's see if this polishes up without me having to come back here and put paper on it. Let's go to the gray. The gray is like a 320 grit, where the white's a 550 grit. This wheel is a little bit thinner, so we can get inside the flutes. And I got my gloves on, and the reason being is that this is gonna get hot, believe me. If you look at where I polished and look at where I didn't, if you can see through the stainless, and if you look at it, it's orange peelish, that is not going to work. So I may be able to get off, okay, with the buffing wheel, the coating that's on there. You can see all little holes. So let me clean this up a little bit, but I'm probably going to have to paper every single part of this. All right, so I'm going to go up a little bit further and take a look, but it looks like it's going to be a long day with sanding. So now with the paper, I'm pretty anxious to see how this is going to come off. One thing about the 1200, it's super, super smooth. All right, see, that's already off already right there. That saves a lot of work. All right, and it'll take out the little bit of orange peel. Again, I'm not taking off any real substance. I'm just trying to get the metal smooth, a little less porous. Okay, so we have a couple wooden dowels here that we've kind of rounded and that we work with. So these tips on here, they go pretty quick. So what I'd end up doing is I just cut off the very, very end, you know, just a little bit right there. We're getting ready now to where we can go back into the polishing room and probably finish this up. Some of you real Colt people, this is kind of like a taboo to be addressing the face of the cylinder because it'll change the head spacing. But again, this is in like 10,000ths of material that we're taking off, so there's nothing to worry about. Making sure I didn't miss any spots. All right, so we're gonna take this now, go to the polishing room. Let's see if we can finish the cylinder. Okay, I got my magnifiers on. I've been working with them. It's just so I can really see, and besides the fact I'm getting older, let's start with the 320 gray wheel again, and let's go from there. Okay. So when you're looking at the end of the cylinder here, it's looking really nice. I can still see where there's just a little bit of pitting, but that porousness. But we're gonna just go through this right now and just turn and burn and just start polishing. I'm going to go over now to the other wheel, and we're going to make this really look like a mirror. Okay, let's go inside. Besides the fact that this is getting so hot that I can barely hold it, let's go inside. We'll wipe it down and I can show you guys, and then we can see if there's anything else we need to touch up. Look at this, guys. Look at this. This is like looking in a mirror. So we're going to let this cool for probably a half an hour. But if you look at the finish, look now. Like, look at that. So we're going to do the same process now for all of these parts. When I'm done with these, we'll meet them up with Daniel's, and then we'll end up putting the gun together and show you guys what a beautiful, bright stainless Colt Python will look like. So right now, Daniel has the frame and of course the barrel, and he's starting at a 1200 grit, which is the same grit that I started with. So what he's doing right now is the flats of the gun, the side plate and the flat side of the frame. And this is some pretty vigorous work. We have this right now on a time lapse, but Daniel's probably got 5-6 hours into doing what he's doing, because he's going from 1200 and he's working himself all the way up to 2500 grit paper. Right now he's doing the bottom of the frame. He's really working hard on this. As you guys can see, there's not an area that we miss. And right here, Daniel is in the polishing room, and he's got the Dremel with a 320 grit compound on it right now, doing the inside of the trigger guard, going all around. Now, the last phase is the buffing wheel. He's on the thin wheel. It's about, 3/4 of an inch wide, so you can get in there and get into all the areas. And that's a 320 grit. And now he is on the 1.5 inch wide white wheel, which is our final compound grit that we're going to be using. And now comes the hard part. Really focusing on getting every micro scratch out of the gun. All right, everybody, so Daniel finished the frame and the barrel, and he did an absolutely beautiful job, and I did all of the other parts. Now, I normally will be wearing my gloves once I do my assembly. These guns are kind of a pain in the neck to do, and the reason being is that if I just take my finger and press down, it leaves a mark. So we went a little bit further, okay, and I polished some parts that I normally wouldn't. I polished the grip pin, okay, that goes in the gun right here. The safety lever, I polished the very end of this. We also polished the pin, so when we go and put this in, look at that. So right now we are getting ready to put this back together. If you look at these pins, they have ledges on them. So the ledges are so that when I go to push these back in, that they don't go too far out or not enough. We just push them in until they hit the ledges. I'm not going to be using any Lucas oil because the oils will run. They'll get all over the metal, okay? And I'll never be able to get them off. So I found that with the bright guns, if I use some Lucas grease very lightly in some areas, it won't affect that. When I put it all together, there'll be nothing running out from the revolver. First thing we're going to do is we'll put the pins in. And that is all the way in. Now on this pin, there's no ledge. This is the pin that rides right inside here, okay, for the cylinder bolt. And I'm going to be honest, this one's going to be tough. And the reason being is that this is so tight that when I go to take it and push it in, it wants to fall over. That's how tight it is. I don't know if the camera can catch the height elevation of the bolt pins, but all the pins are really nice right now. Okay, so we're good. All right, now the assembly. So this will be pretty simple. Basically the same way we took it apart. We'll start with our cylinder bolt. Okay. Cylinder bolt is in. That was the easier part. The harder part now is getting the spring in. Come on, baby. There we go. Okay, see that? The spring is in. Go. Put that in. We have our mainspring right here. Okay, if you look, you can see how nice that looks inside. And of course, the first time that the customer goes to shoot the thing, it's going to get, smoke and powder residues all over it, okay? Now we're going to grab the side plate. They call this a Z-spring. This is what you're going to use for the cylinder release to go back and forth. They adapted this from the King Cobras and the Anacondas. Back in the day, that's where that spring came from. We're going to lock our Z-spring in. So it goes right underneath like that. And we're going to put a very little bit of lubricant underneath here. And there we go. All right, so now we're going to take and we're going to put this on. Now when it comes to the screws, I polished the heads of the screws and I even did the lips around there. Okay, now we're going to cycle the gun again. Now if you guys look, you can see all the fingerprints over this. It's kind of hard to work in the white gloves if I was doing this, so I'll get all these off. Okay, so the next thing I do before I put the cylinder in is we'll put the sights on. We'll put this Allen right back in. There we go, just like that. Snug. And that's that. So now the front sight's on. All right, now we'll put the rear sight on. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll put the spring in. Hold it with my hand. And I'm not going to put it on down all the way yet because I want to put the pin back in. Now I look on each side to see which side is the side that I've been hammering on. Now I use these nylon hammers. These hammers are well used. And I'm going to hold this down until I feel it catch, until it goes right in. Let me screw this down just a little bit more. Now I'll come over here and we'll use the brass side. What we don't want to do is we don't want to take the punch, and that's why we use these ones with a little tip sticking right up over here, and it locks right into here. See? I'm going to be real careful, and we're going to do little taps. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my finger and I'm holding it here, and you can see how tight I'm doing so. And I'm holding my finger here so that this punch doesn't ride off of the pin. So now the customer's going to have to sight this in because I had to move it. But I want to get this down a hair. So I'll just do one rotation. I think that looks a little bit better. It's not touching and it looks good. So now front and rear sights are on, side plates on. Now we get to do the cylinder. Just so everybody knows, this is the ratchet right here. This is what takes the hand that I put in last and pushes it up, okay, so that the hand pushes the cylinder, okay, into the notch. So now we're going to take this and we're going to put this in, sitting flat. Got to put our spring in. The spring sits on the washer. Getting it. Now I also polished the ejector rod. I did the tip, did the entire thing. Okay, I got a nice new towel, and what we're going to do is we're going to take off whatever fingerprints we can. Nice and easy. We're going to put our cylinder ring back in. We're going to pull it, and it just drops in. Now this is called the crane screw, the spring. And what I even did for the customer is I polished his detent, okay, which holds the cylinder in. We'll take this, put this in. There we go, she's all together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the grips on it right now, but I want to wipe off all the fingerprints, okay? So I'm going to wipe all this down so there's no fingerprints whatsoever where I put the grips, where the grips go on. And the grip pin, which is polished, matches the gun. I think just thought it was a cool touch. Now I'll put some gloves on, because now after here it's going to go in a plastic bag that I'm going to seal, and then it's going to go to the customer, and we'll give him a brand new set of gloves, and once he gets it, then it's up to him to keep it clean. This looks amazing. Look how nice the inside of that looks. Look at that. So this is probably an 8 to 10 hour job. So whomever's thinking that these are quick and easy, they're not. They're very, very detail orientated. Look at the face of the cylinder. Look at that. This came out absolutely beautiful. Daniel did an amazing job. That's it, guys. I'm going to take this now. So when we go to give it back to him, I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it in a new plastic bag, and we'll give it back to our customer. And I'm sure he'll absolutely love it. Okay, so we just put the gun back in the case, and now our next stage is we're going to take a plastic bag. Here's our custom shop tag that we put on here, showing that this has been through the custom shop. So we're going to put this hang tag on. Okay, I'm going to put my gloves back on. Now I have another microfiber, another brand new one, and I'm going to do another wipe on it. Reason being is that other one could have some oils on it. So I'm looking to give this to the customer in the most flawless condition that I possibly can. And when you guys look at this thing, this is amazing. This is beautiful. So now we're going to take this, we're going to put this in the plastic bag. Just like it would come from the factory. And this is how the gun would have came from the factory. I'm sure he has all the paperwork to it. And this is it. And this is how he's going to get it. So the last thing that I am seeing is the first thing that he's going to see when he gets this. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you liked it, I took my time with it, and I've been trying to take my time with these videos, go slow so everybody can understand. But at the end of the day, what's most important is giving the customer a perfect job, which I think that we did. And thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.